You just want to be positive all the time. It's like, okay, and what? Hey loves, it's me, Ashnaisha Bree, and in this video, we are talking about how to elevate that inner self. So let's go ahead and get started. I have a self guide that I went ahead and created for you guys that already has like a list of everything we'll be talking about today. It's down in the description, so if you want to check that out after the video, you really do want to stay tuned for the whole video just so you can actually know how to go about filling that form out, and so it's not like confusing or anything. These are the list of things that we will be going over today. For some reason, I'm always like putting things in groups of 5. I feel like 5 is just like that number to kind of start checking stuff off. So when it comes to elevating ourselves internally, you have to start off, I feel like, with the fixable. Things that you notice about yourself that you would like to fix or work on. Say for instance, if you doubt yourself too much, if you feel like you worry a lot, if you feel like you kind of like overanalyze things. So these are just personal things. Everybody is different. So what you put on your guide or what you put on your list may not be the same thing that I put on my list, may not be the same thing that someone else puts on their list. So this is just really taking the time to kind of think about things that you do that you want to like work on and improve within yourself. Another category of this area would be things that people tell you. And this is not like one person saying this is like you've heard this multiple times. So say for instance, if people are always telling you that you're bossy, or people are telling you that you're just very like dramatic, or if you notice that you cut people off a lot when they're speaking, if you have like a lot of like rude tendencies, just things that if you know, like things that people tell you like frequently. Those are things that you also want to put down. If it's something like someone telling you have a list when you talk, like certain things, it's like that's just who you are and there's no changing that. So it's like either they got to get over it or maybe you can work on it. I'm not for sure with the list, but you get the point, like things of that nature. Lastly, in this category would be just little annoying things, joking too much, like when things are serious, it's like you're always playing. You don't know when to stop playing. Don't take things serious. Or maybe you're the opposite. People are just joking and you're just being like super, super serious. Or maybe you're oversensitive. Just different things that I feel like that can be slightly annoying. And I'm not saying that you'll completely just stop doing these things, but that is the point of working on something to get to the point where you can notch it down a little bit and not be like so aggressively like whatever it is. Now we are going into number 2. Number 2 are triggers. Triggers are things that make you feel a certain way. So this could be from other people's actions. This can be from something that you've experienced. And then this could just be something that like maybe you've never experienced, but just things you just don't like. And everybody again has things that they just don't like that are different from others. For example, time you're talking and then you notice like somebody starts fidgeting with themselves or starts like doing something, to you it's kind of like, okay, is what I'm saying not interesting? Just like different thoughts that you may have inside your head of just overthinking. And that could be another thing. Maybe you're an overthinker. There's certain triggers that other people do that kind of make you feel some type of way internally. Another thing could be from like an experience. So say for instance, like something happened to you and now this is why you're that way. So like say for instance, if you used to get bullied and someone was always talking about you, and then now you're just always on defense mode and you're just kind of like attacking them or saying something bad about them, or basically just trying to like hurt other people before you feel like they can get the chance to hurt you. Maybe people are always inviting like one of your friends places, but then they never invite you places. So it just makes you feel some type of way about yourself. These are things that I feel like you definitely can, write down and start addressing, and maybe also figuring out like why that is, because there could be something else stemming from that on maybe the fixable list that you could possibly work on fixing. And it might not be you at all. It could just be maybe the other person for some reason, just doesn't want to hang out or whatever the case may be. So now we're going into number 3, which is awareness. So this is like a really, really, really big one, you guys. Basically, it's just you being aware of the things that you are saying that come out of your mouth. the things that you are thinking in your head, also the things that you say about other people. Start actually noticing the words that come out of your mouth. Like, are you talking very like positively about things, or are you more on the negative side? Like, are you always saying rude and mean things? Like, what type of words are coming out of your mouth? Even when you're texting, when you're writing to people, like, social media, when you're writing stuff, are you sending more like positivity out there? Or are you like pretty much what they consider to be like a hater, where you're always saying something negative or saying something mean to someone? Because that is something that I feel like definitely internally you have to work on. Because if you are saying a lot of like rude things or mean things to people, why? Like, why are those the words that you're choosing to use? If you are saying more positive things, are you just saying positive things just to say them? Do you actually mean them? I feel like that's definitely something to be aware of. Like, are you just saying things because you want people to like you, or do you actually mean the things that you're saying to people? I feel like a lot of people, and me included, don't like when people are just saying stuff just because they're trying to kiss your butt or whatever. Like, they just really, really, really want you to like them. So they're just saying anything, and it's just not genuine, and it definitely comes off as disingenuine. That also could be a reason why people maybe are distancing themselves from you. What are things that you're thinking? So like, when it's just you in your own head, what are you saying to yourself? Are you constantly, doubting yourself all the time, or being like your worst critic 24/7? Or are you uplifting yourself, encouraging yourself? And then you have like beyond that, where it's like it's just all about you, and you're always just thinking about yourself, just me, and you don't really take into consideration of like anybody else's feelings. So you could be, coming off like a bit selfish, or just like very self-absorbed. Definitely something that you want to try to figure out and really think about, like when you're thinking, if that makes sense. Kind of difficult to do, so I feel like that's where practice makes perfect comes in. So what are things that people say to you? And that is a big one. Like, how are you letting people speak to you? Are people normally talking to you respectfully? Are people normally like always putting you down? How do you allow others to talk to you? Because that's another thing internally. Like, if you are letting people constantly always like push you around, or like say super mean things to you, that's just not really good, because that kind of shows that you also don't really respect yourself enough, because you're allowing other people to talk to you in a certain way. That's just another thing to really, really notice and work on, because you don't want to be one of those people where you're just allowing any and everybody to talk to you and treat you a certain way. Especially, how the saying goes, like, treat people the way you want to be treated, and other people should definitely treat you the way they want to be treated. It goes both ways. Start to notice like, how are people talking to you, and that really can help you see how do you feel about yourself to let people talk to you certain ways. We are moving into number 4. Number 4 is comfort zone. So these are going to be things that make you feel very uncomfortable, things that make you scared. What is being like uncomfortable? So for you, it may look different. For me, it could be being uncomfortable is just expressing your feelings, or maybe it's going out and dancing. Maybe it's even just sitting down, making content, putting content out there. Things that just make you, not feel comfortable. So I feel like the only way to really get out of that uncomfortableness is getting into the uncomfortableness. So actually working on doing those things to the point where you did it so many times that you're really just not even that uncomfortable. Like, it's just kind of a routine. A lot of things can make people feel uncomfortable, like going to the gym when you haven't been to the gym in a while, trying something new. Things that make you scared literally could be telling somebody how you feel about them. Like, that could be like the scariest thing ever. Why does this thing scare you? Like, what is behind this scariness? What is behind that feeling? Like, why does this thing make you scared? Listing different things that scare you also helps you make some sort of like goal list later down the line. Maybe for this year, things that you want to work on improving. It could be maybe you are scared, and I'll say scared and uncomfortable, because sometimes it could just be like you just don't like the feeling you have of doing it, not the fact that it's like, oh my God, like I'm trembling, I'm scared to do this. It's two different things. But for one person, being on camera actually scares them, and then for another person, it makes them uncomfortable. Just list a couple of things that make you uncomfortable, and also list a couple of things that scare you. Now we move into number 5, and number 5 is like, okay, we went through 1 through 4, we've written all this stuff down, now what are we gonna do about it? So this is where number 5 comes into play. Number 5 is action. Action is actually acting on these things that we've written down, on how we are going to go about changing these things, fixing these things, working on these things. Basically standing on whatever it is that you said that you want to fix. So this is where it comes to, okay, are we just gonna say we want to do this and we're not really wanting to like actually work on ourselves? Are we gonna put in the work? This is for you to write down in the self-guide book that I provided for you guys, something that you listed in your fixable, being more positive, or you want to start telling your loved ones sweet things, or telling yourself affirmations, or whatever the case may be. How are you going to go about doing this? If you do want to start doing more affirmations, maybe your action is to wake up in the morning and you're going to start listening to affirmations on YouTube or affirmation podcasts. There's always like some type of resolution. We're doing all this work. We're starting to really understand who we are. We're making changes. So now we are not going to let people diminish any of the work that we've just did. Now it's time for us to really stand on like who we say that we are. And so this comes into not letting someone else tell you who you are, and not letting someone else affect how you think about yourself. This is where I feel like can be the most challenging, especially if you are around anyone who doesn't have like the best intentions for you. To be somebody who doesn't have their stuff together, so they're always like hating on you. They could be people on social media, like whatever the case may be, but this is really just starting to stand on who we are. I know who I am, I know what I'm about, and you can't tell me who I am. You can't tell me this, you can't tell me that. If somebody has something to say like, oh, you just want to be positive all the time, it's like, okay, and what? If you want to meditate, if you want to work on empowering yourself, if you want to start progressing in life, like that is you. If you want to start being more confident, don't let somebody tell you that you think you're all that and you're just so obsessed with yourself. It's the difference between being conceited and then also being confident. So as far as being confident and you know that you are confident, but you still don't have to put down others, you're not selfish or anything, then what they're talking about. You know who you are. We're not even hearing the noise, like we're blacking it out. Me and my friend call it hater blockers. So at that point, it's like, just put your hater blockers on. Like we pretty much, if it's glasses, if it's like headphones, whatever, like we're not hearing it. Like, not today. Also, working on number 5 is when we come to liking ourselves. Because again, this work that we are doing internally is eventually for us to start to know who we are. And then from there, we're starting to really just like ourselves. So this is just using more kind words whenever it comes to you. And this could be in your head. This could also be things that you say about yourself. I know this is like a big one for me. I feel like I'm always kind of listing things that I feel like I need to work on, and sometimes not giving myself credit when I am in the process of working on something. And you can say these things out loud, you can write them down, you can write yourself letters, say them inside of your head, but just actually telling yourself that you like yourself. This also has to do with being alone, being okay when you are alone, loving your alone time. I know sometimes if you aren't used to being by yourself, like me for instance, I grew up with a sibling or people always like over at the house. It was kind of hard for me at first a little bit, like on times, when I went to school where it's like, okay, you might actually just have to be by yourself at home or whatever the case may be. So really just starting to like your alone time, like you're comfortable with being by yourself and you actually enjoy your own company. I think that's a really, really special and beautiful thing for you to actually be okay with just being with yourself sometimes. And lastly, I will say loving yourself. Loving yourself is definitely different from liking yourself, because you can definitely like somebody, not love them. You can love somebody, not like them. But when it comes to loving yourself, this is just more of getting yourself gifts. Maybe you wanted a pair of shoes, or maybe you wanted a purse. It's just basically the things that you would do for somebody else that you love, doing it for yourself. So taking yourself on dates, maybe taking yourself on a trip. And dates can be all type of things, like want to get your nails done, or going out for breakfast, or just going on a walk, just different things. Just showing yourself like, hey, you know, I love you, I'm checking on you, I know you was talking about you wanted these earrings or whatever. Like, we've been working on ourselves, we've been getting into it for 2024 on working on our goals. I'm just giving you a gift just to show like you actually are seeing what you're doing, that you're aware of it, you see yourself doing what you need to do. I don't think there's anything wrong with treating yourself to something nice when you put in the work. Those are the 5 things that are definitely going to help you this year, or any year, as far as fixing and working on your inner self. If you really liked this video and you thought it was very informative and helpful, please give it a like. Also comment if anything in this video really spoke to you. If you have any useful tips that you have been working on that you've noticed have helped you internally, please be sure to comment down for somebody else. There definitely will be more videos like this. Be sure to go ahead and download that guide, you guys. As always, I love you. I hope y'all have a great day, great night. I'm Ashnae Shabri. See you next time.